Hey, what is up, guys? It's Brennan here, and today we're going to be going over 7 top stocks to buy in August 2020. Even with current events, the stock market continues to climb due to a lot of companies, such as the tech companies, pushing the market up and up because they are doing such extremely well with their numbers right now. So we're going to be diving into 7 of those stocks. Which ones do I believe are pretty good? What are doing well amidst the current events and current situation that we're all under right now? So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. So stock number 1 for this list is Nvidia. Now, Nvidia is a computer game company. I have used them for a number of years. I really like their graphics cards. They seem to be having a pulse on the market, not only in the graphics card space for video gaming and gamers in general, but they also have a high production of tech and going into more of the consumer technology route and going deeper into AI and all of those kind of different technologies as well. And if we take a look at the market summary, you can see that their current stock trading price as of July 31st is $418. And over the maximum time horizon, they've really shot up as of 2020, of course. But even before that, they had quite a good rise in 2019, before 2020, where gaming has really taken the forefront in the entertainment space because it's one of the only things people can even do right now due to current events. And before that, they were a lot smaller of a company, more so just in the gaming market, but they've made a lot more of a rise, as I said, in the different mobile computing and automotive market, as you can see here. So that's where they've taken a rise over the past couple of years. And in general, Nvidia is just a really solid company. Now, the only concern with a company like Nvidia and a lot of the other companies that you're going to see in this list is that a lot of them have taken that giant rise from the March lull that we saw and have kind of shot up to super peak valuations just based on where people are moving their money, hedge funds and all that kind of stuff. And it's just a lot of things are somewhat overvalued at this point. It's hard to really tell because, I'm not a super in-depth economist, but just seeing it as a whole, you take a look at a lot of different markets and you just see that the tech stocks have really shot up like crazy as a whole and kind of pushed the entire market up as a result of that. And whereas a lot of other companies are struggling a lot right now to even make buy in the hospitality space and stuff like that. And so that is something to keep in mind, is maybe not, if you want to get into all these right now, that is an option, of course, but a lot of them do have super high valuations at this point. Moving into number 2 on the list is Shopify, ticker symbol SHOP, Shop. Now, this is one that I personally invested in a couple of years ago, and then I got out of it. For some reason, I basically wanted to get into it for a period of time. I was really into e-commerce, and I still am to this day. I'm a huge believer in e-commerce, and that's why Shopify is on this list, because they are absolutely killing it in the website space, the e-commerce space. They are honestly invincible at this point, some could say, in the industry, and it's really tough to compete with somebody like Shopify. And with all the e-commerce purchases going on with even a company like Amazon, Shopify basically offers the chance for small businesses that don't want to be on Amazon to be able to sell their products online, whether that's through the e-commerce, obviously, as well as just managing all of their orders and creating their own website. And so they really have a good footing in the market and just make it so easy for beginners to begin their websites and all that kind of stuff. So I have a lot of other e-commerce videos on this channel. That's why I know a lot about Shopify. And it kills me that their stock is so high right now, because if you take a look at it right now, it is trading at $1,000, which is absolutely insane considering that just a couple years ago, and I think they started about 2015 was when they started. I found out about them maybe around the 2016 period. They were still relatively small, end of 2016, and then moving into 2017, 2018, they've still kind of stayed about the same. And I was invested into them back in, I believe it was either to the end of 17. I believe it was around September 2017, moving closer to 2018, in that kind of range right there. And part of me is like, I wish I was still in them, but it's just insane. Hindsight is 2020. You look at it back then, and shoulda, coulda, woulda. It would have been great. I'm sure people feel the same way about Tesla stock. Any kind of stock or company investment like that, you never know where things could have been, would have been. What if something happened? who's to say, but Shopify still makes this list. Now, once again, like I said before with Nvidia, I feel like the current price is quite overvalued, but they are pulling in a lot of revenue, obviously in the billions. They're based out of Canada as well, which is interesting, but they really just have such a foothold on the e-commerce space. Moving on to stock number 3 is SQ, which is Square. Now, Square is also very similar to Shopify, but operates in a little bit differently in terms of how they do their e-commerce stores and all that kind of stuff. They're a much smaller player comparatively to Shopify, but not that much smaller. Really, Square has a big foothold on the payments side of things, as they offer a lot of the POS systems for physical businesses, although that is kind of, physical businesses are a little bit rocky right now, obviously, but Square is still a pretty solid company because they are based on payments, payment processes for small business services as well. And as you can see, their stock's trading at $128 right now. They haven't moved a ton. Really, in the past couple of years, they've sat around the $80 range, $70 to $80 range or so. And I've been watching them about since like 2017 or so, on and off. And they're pretty solid. And they do also own the company Weebly, which is another website builder. And Square is the primary payment processor that they push through their own platform, of course, because they own Weebly. So they want to push their own online store, which does have another good space in the marketplace, because in comparison to Shopify does charge $29 a month, whereas you can create a free Weebly account and actually set up a site. Now, I believe to do the e-commerce stuff with Square, you do have to pay, but that they might have some sort of trial system, but you can at least get started with a free site on there, which does offer somewhat of a different competitive advantage. I've personally, in my experience, seen a lot more beginners go with Weebly if they don't want to spend much money, and they can kind of just create something at least to host their small business on there. A lot of small local businesses that just, they don't need the SEO value, or they don't need to have like a massive system. So it really caters to people that just send direct traffic, maybe from their Instagram page, or somebody that is a lot smaller and maybe not as tech savvy. It's very simple and easy for beginners to get started with, even more so than Shopify. So it's good that Square is in that kind of space in comparison when you're comparing two different, very e-commerce focused companies. Moving on to stock number 4 is company Zoom, ticker symbol ZM. Now, Zoom has absolutely exploded over the past few months. It has become a household name, whereas Skype used to be the household name for video communications. Now it is Zoom. Everyone wants to do a Zoom chat. And it really has just taken off for not only just business use, university use, personal use. It really hits in every different area, and they've really catered quite well to the market, because really they've continued to innovate, where Skype, once they got purchased by Microsoft, I know the innovation kind of slowed down a bit. It's a little bit bloated. People just shifted away from it and were using other options. It also, FaceTime became quite popular for personal use, but Zoom fits the market in such a different way, because it really has the cater to business use and universities, because they can hold up to 100 people in a call as well. If you have, I think one of their more premium plans, I think it's $14.99 a month, but regardless, Zoom as a stock, it was huge at the beginning of 2020 and into the current events, because of, well, people need to talk and communicate, of course, so they offer those services through their software. And they've done insanely well. Now, as to say as where they're going to be going in the future, I mean, doesn't really look like things are going to be changing all that much in the near future. If anything, less and less businesses are going to be having the physical office space, because it's so expensive to do that, and they can still communicate and offer and do their weekly team meetings and stuff through a company like Zoom. And it's recurring. It's a software. It's a SaaS business, which is software as a service, which is absolutely great for a business, because to have that recurring revenue every month, as long as people are still needing to talk, they're going to still be using Zoom. Now, in terms of competitors to Zoom, there is a lot of comparisons between Google Meet and Zoom, and I have seen that as well myself, is some companies are choosing to go the more Google Meet route because it is all set up with your Google account, so it is nice and streamlined. You don't have to set up any other kind of accounts or anything like that, but you can still join the Zoom calls with a meeting ID, so it really just depends on what platform a company is using. There's also Microsoft Teams, which some companies are choosing to use. It really just varies from company to company, but I would still say that Zoom as a whole in comparison to Google is still a more, obviously Google's a beast, a monster, but Zoom, it kind of hits the market at that really nice level. Moving on to stock number 5 is PayPal. Now, this company has been around since the late 90s. They have really dominated the online payment space as a payment processor. Over the years, they really have offered lots of small business services. I use PayPal all the time, whether it be through small eBay transactions or other business transactions. PayPal really definitely has dominated the market. They also own Venmo, which is huge in terms of transferring money between people. And realistically, with all the online transactions, people going more of a cashless society, especially with the potential germs that could be on physical money, PayPal is positioned perfectly for that. Now, in terms of their actual stock price, they're trading right now at about $200, $192, and it's a peak number. They've really huddled around the $100. Back when I was with them, it was about like 70, 80. I mean, I still am a strong believer in PayPal. I use them all the time. Definitely recommend them, obviously. Exploding. They're taking huge growth from all the current situation because they are an online transaction. And really anything in this list, in this space, it does deal a lot with online purchases or just what can people actually still do. And as a small brownie point, PayPal was founded by Elon Musk in part, so if you're a big Elon fan, you gotta support PayPal. Moving on to stock number 6 is Domino's. Now, Domino's Pizza is a restaurant company, but they are positioned quite nicely because a lot of people are still ordering food and pizza. People still doing pizza deliveries. You can do it contactless, and Domino's really has, even before the current situation, has risen incredibly and turned around a lot in the past. From around the past 10 years, the past decade or so, they've really turned around with all the mobile ordering. They have been at the forefront of you can use the Domino's app, you can order online. It's much more streamlined than how a lot of other companies are doing it with phone service is still great, but having a streamlined system with an app and a website that actually works really well for the most part, it's massive. And of course, people can still order pizza whenever they want online, and they don't have to go into somewhere to eat. They can eat it out of their own house, not have to be around any other people, and they could still enjoy something different than cooking at home. Maybe they don't have as much time. People can still order pizza. Of course, it's really a no-brainer. Of course, people can still order pizza. And as to see where this stock will go and this company in general, they're obviously doing well right now. They are in a good position, a lot compared to other restaurants that are absolutely going bankrupt. There's a lot of restaurants going bankrupt. There's a lot of restaurant companies that just have so much physical space that people would normally be using, but of course, with current situations, they are not using it at all. Moving into stock number 7, rounding out the bottom of this list, is of course Netflix. Now, they are a production company. If you don't know Netflix, what are you doing? Everybody watches Netflix. You could watch it at home, of course. You don't have to go out to a movie theater. You don't have to deal with any of that kind of stuff. It's much more affordable as well. People can do it out of their own house. It's pretty obvious, really, that Netflix is really a great one to choose. Now, in the competitor space, right now they're trading at $485, and comparative to their peak, they've had a couple of ups and downs from 2018 to 2019, but they've been doing pretty well overall. Now, in the competitive space, Netflix really was like a first mover. Now, Disney has taken a hold, and Peacock has just started from rising up, the Peacock TV as well. There's a lot of other players. Apple, of course, huge one, moving into the online video streaming space. And the way that Netflix has still been able to compete is just by offering their own movies, signing their own deals, creating their own originals. Any type of original content that these companies can produce really helps them to stand out. Is this really moving forward for the consumer? Who's to say, because then you have to subscribe to all the different streaming services, and it's almost just like paying cable because you're subscribing to so many different services if you really want to get all the different shows and movies that you want to watch. So maybe that'll change in the long term so that people can just get one platform and get everything. But I don't know. Companies are going to continue to try and compete with one another. Hey, we have this movie and you don't. Course, and Netflix is doing really well at that. So those are the top 7 stocks to buy in August of 2020. Now, if you want to go the individual stock route, such as the different stocks mentioned in this video, or if you want to go the more index fund route, it's really up to you. I personally do the index fund route, but even in an index fund, whether it be an S&P 500 total stock market index, it is still nice to take a look at the different companies that are comprised of the stock market to get a general idea of current news and events and situations going on with the world, so you can understand why is your portfolio going a certain way. If you care so much about it, then that's a good way to go. If you want to have it more hands-off, index funds, obviously more hands-off, more well-rounded, but you're not going to have the crazy peaks like Shopify right now at $1,000. You're not going to have the same type of crazy gains and returns, but more risk, more reward, less risk, less reward. It's really just up to you as to what you want to go with. I've been in both different scenarios. It really is just up to you as to what you feel comfortable with. Now, if you want to get 2 free stocks, make sure to check the description down below where you can click the link and get up to 2 free stocks when you deposit $100. Those stocks can be valued from $10 to $12 all the way up to $1,400. So make sure to click the link in the description down below. But that is all for today's video. If you did, be sure to smash the like button if you liked the video and subscribe to the channel so you'll get notified whenever I upload a new video. Hit that notification bell, of course. And so that is all for today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.